Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, thanks. Jim, thanks for showing up today.
Barely.
Yes. I like your headshot, too. I think we may have gone to the same place to get our headshots.
Tony. Shouts to Tony.
Shout out to Tony back there. So I think we got to start, actually, with the big elephant in the room. Ashman said he got Taylor Swift tickets. I know what a fan you are, so what's going on with you?
I did not. I think they went on stage while I was on sale while I was on this stage, so I missed it, much to the chagrin of my whole family, who were really counting on it. So if anybody's got tickets to sell, I'm a buyer, so just let me know.
A marketplace in action right here. Cool. So thanks so much for being here. I think just by way of introduction, maybe we can start by giving a little background on yourself to those who may not know you, as you've joined LinkedIn relatively recently. It's almost a year, actually.
Yeah, we're coming up on a year. So I've been at LinkedIn for like 10 months. I started on Valentine's Day. It's easy to remember. And before LinkedIn, I spent a little bit of time at Pinterest, leading their global business marketing team. And before that, I was actually at Google for a really long time. So almost a decade at Google, specifically working on YouTube for a long time. But I sort of made my way into tech in a roundabout way. I actually started my career in publishing, which was a great trial by fire. And it was by fire because we were in one of the big recessions that Karen was talking about yesterday. At the time, and it was just a great way to learn how to do work with brands, and like the vaunted publishing houses, that all they have is brand. It's like that's their stock and trade. So it gave me a lot of experience to experiment and sort of like working with brands, putting them together, joining them up with the brands that the publishing houses had. So that was a good launch pad that then, led to the tech sojourn.
Great. Well, we're excited to have you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so true LinkedIn fashion. What's one thing not on your LinkedIn profile?
All right. I think I'm a pretty good cook. Like, I think if this thing doesn't work out, the LinkedIn thing, I think I could get a job as like a line cook somewhere.
Okay, a line cook, so not a chef.
No, I don't want to be a chef.
Okay,
it's too much pressure.
Okay, so you'd be cutting the vegetables.
Exactly. Let me do prep work, like peel carrots, stuff like that. I think I could do that.
All right, cool. So we'll do a couple rapid-fire questions, get to know you, and then we'll get into the meat of things. Ready? So we spoke yesterday, actually, about that. We have the same pizza oven, and we both love it very much. Yeah. Rockbox by Ghazni, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Non-endorsement, just saying it's good.
Mine is an endorsement, actually.
Okay, yes. For legal purposes, it's not, though.
I want that Ghazni.
Yes. All right, so favorite pizza topping?
Just cheese.
Okay, I don't...
Pretty straightforward. A regular
I don't
guy.
know if I'd consider that a topping, but sure. Okay.
Has to be.
Favorite Ben Stiller movie?
Dodgeball.
All right. First concert?
Steve Winwood. Deep cuts. Traffic fans out there?
A couple.
I see you.
Morning or night person?
Increasingly morning.
Okay, I think that's the 9-month-old that might be close to that.
10-month-old.
10-month-old, sorry. 10-month-old, yes. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Work hard, play hard.
Both.
There we go. iPhone or Android?
Both.
That's an odd one. You don't have to explain that one.
I did a lot of work on Android while I was at Google. We launched a bunch of apps, but I always had an iPhone. My life is on my iPhone, so I got like a church and state thing going.
There you
it's
go.
Working out okay so far.
All right. Last, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So just a reminder, we do have the Slido. It's slido.com, #PartnerConnect, to be able to ask any questions. They will pop up here in a minute. I'll ask you one question, then we'll just kind of get into any audience Q&A that we might have.
Sweet.
So you mentioned you've been here since Valentine's Day, and obviously you've been at a number of different advertising places and been in the ecosystem. One of the things, as many of our partners who've been here for many years can tell you, like we, over the past 5-7 years, have really invested in our partner ecosystem. And we've had one for a while, but we're really committed to them. And we'd love to understand your thoughts on the ecosystem that exists, where you've seen we've done well, how you think we can do better to help enable that.
No, absolutely. I think one of the things that really stood out to me as I was thinking about this role and stepping into it in sort of the early time here, is that B2B is pretty special in that you can't really do anything by yourself. you can't buy things yourself. You can't really market things yourself. You sort of, it has to be like a family affair. And so I think that's really informed a lot of our just go-to-market and how we think about our marketing strategy. Is I think things are better with friends, and this is why I'm so glad we're getting this group together here, in conjunction with Be to Believe. Is I just think that there's a tremendous opportunity for us to think about our challenges together, leverage the value that you bring to your customers and our customers, and tell a joint story, and sort of combine more of our go-to-market efforts. And so I think this is just the beginning of a lot more that we could be doing with all of you. So that sort of foundational insight of you in B2B, you cannot go it alone, has really informed just everything we're trying to do here.
Cool. If we can actually get the Slido up, we can start taking some of the questions. There we go. Wow, that was quick. Oh, wow. All right. Let's start with the hard one right up front. And I've been asking this question to you too. Is it LinkedIn ads? Is it LinkedIn pages? Is it LinkedIn marketing solutions? What are we?
Might just be LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, we have a bit of an identity crisis on this. LinkedIn marketing solutions, I think, is certainly the brand that we've used for a while. I find when people are looking for us, they just use LinkedIn ads. So we have been experimenting with actually using that branding. You could think of LinkedIn Marketing Solutions as being our organization name, but LinkedIn Ads is more like the SKU. But I think that there's an opportunity here to actually get rid of both of them. Not to talk like brand strategy here with all of you, but I think that we should show up as more of a unified LinkedIn. We have this saying of like one LinkedIn here. And I think that there's a lot of benefit in that. So maybe we go in that direction more.
Cool. Okay, so next we have on here, we heard about partners being more discoverable in product. How are you thinking about bringing partners into more of LinkedIn marketing and GTM? And I'll add on to this a little bit.
Sure.
One of the things that my team hears a lot of around partner marketing is, what are our moments? What are the things that we're going to do as LinkedIn that we're going to show up as? This being one example.
Yeah.
We talked about Cannes a lot, we have Dreamforce, and those are just like events. There might be press moments. What are these things we're thinking about, and how can we help work with all of our partners to drive?
Love it. I mean, like I said, I think this is just the beginning. And this is a good sign of more things to come. I think about it in every dimension of our go-to-market. Like, we should be partnering on thought leadership. We should be partnering with key customers to experiment, to try more things. We should align our event schedules. And the purpose of this is really, we wanted to bring some customers together and bring all of you into the room. So isn't it great if we're talking to a customer and they're like, well, actually, I have a specific challenge, be like, oh, let me grab someone who's also right over here. And so more chances to like leverage that sort of frisson of bouncing off each other and coming up with new ideas. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to do more things like this, budget's willing, of course, but into next year, we should all think about how we align these moments and how we align our stories and how can we partner on bigger pieces of thought leadership and IP.
Yeah. And I think this third question here is semi-related, so we'll just bring that in and you kind of answer that. I think that actually might be a question for me and my team as well, is how are we thinking about plugging into marketing calendars and content overall? You mentioned some of that. One of the things that I can talk about that our team is really focused on is thinking about how do we build that out for all of you to say, here's, as we go into next calendar year, here are the things we're focused on with Jim's guidance and the rest of our marketing team and LinkedIn as a whole, and being able to provide that as like a template for you all to say, okay, we're going to be there too, or we're thinking about this and how to work together. And so that's something we expect to come out early next calendar year as well.
Yeah. I would just add that this should be a collaborative experience too. Just in my conversations this week, we've come up with a bunch of ideas of things we could do over the next couple months and beyond. So as we have ideas, let's be sure that we just have an open communication and we'll piece this thing together.
Totally. So before we go to the questions, one other thing that I wanted to mention is I think it'd be helpful for them all. When you came on, 10, 11 months ago, after maybe a month, you gave us your marketing strategy, right, of what our company was. And it was the easiest it was 9 words, I think, altogether.
It was.
3 bullets. And I think it was just helpful for all of us to understand very quickly what it is and also how the partner ecosystem plays a big part of that. So maybe you can give them a little background on what it is.
Absolutely. Not to tip our hand a little bit, but our marketing strategy in total is 9 words. It's build our brand, help build theirs, build a posse. So right there, the third pillar of our strategy is trying to go to market more with all of you. People think I use posse deliberately because like Westerns. It's actually because I grew up on like bad boy hip hop. And the posse cut is an idea of like everybody jumps on the track. So that's more of what I'm going for. A lot of people don't know that. But that's so if you take each of those pillars, build our brand. I think we've had this sort of identity crisis over like, are we B2B? Are we B2C? I see a question right here on that very topic. We could talk about that in a second. I think it's clear we want to be B2B. So there's clearly a intentionality about saying more about how we can help B2B brands specifically. Help build theirs. We also think that brand building in B2B is a oft neglected art. So how can we bring that more to the fore and then build a posse? This is our posse. So let's all jump on the track.
Yeah. Well, on that B2B front, I think one of the questions here is actually around, and we get this frankly from our sales team as well, our field team as well, is like we talk a lot about, obviously talk a lot about B2B, right? I mean, it's very clear. And that makes sense. But then does that mean we just forego the B2C opportunity? Does that mean that we don't care about it? What does that mean?
No, not at all. I think the way I talk about this is there's a certain type of B2C that we work better for. Like we're not a general purpose marketing platform. I don't think we really compete very well in that space, to be honest. But for a certain type of like high consideration B2C, I think we can work pretty well. But when you think about what you need, the tools you need to make those types of sales, you look at B2B buying journeys and they're complicated. You got to talk to a lot of people. It's usually expensive. Takes a long time. You look at a high consideration B2C purchase. It's complicated. It's expensive. You talk to a lot of people. Takes a long time. It's the same picture. So I think if we're able to land the plane on a set of tools, marketing tools for B2B, we'll reflexively solve for that high consideration B2C challenge. So that's where I'm pushing the team to think about like, this is not at the neglect of those customers. It's just, I'm a firm believer that you need to be really clear about what you're doing, like what your raison d'etre is to the market. So hence B2 Believe.
There we go. Okay, that makes sense. And I think the other thing that we've seen as well in for B2C brands is there's actually opportunity as it relates, even if you're like a Coca-Cola or Pepsi, where you're not going to do the 50 cents off a can on LinkedIn. Like I just don't think that might make the most sense. But when there's like corporate social responsibility, there's other elements of it that you're trying to let the broader consumer base is. A professional is a consumer at the end of the day. And thinking a little bit about that as well is something that's an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yep. So let's go to the second one. I think we got the first one, so we can cut that one out. This is real-time update. Thinking about the partners you like and want to go to market with, what's the best way to like get the attention for us and get on the radar?
That's a good question. I think it's really in, are you all providing a service of real value to your customers? And I think all of you are in some capacity. So I really just think it's a matter of aligning the stories. Like there are certain topics that we think there needs to be more discussion about in the market, brand being one of them, as I mentioned. We think there's a lot of opportunity here and sort of joining up brand and demand. So how do we actually pipe that through? So we have some like a thought leadership agenda almost. And I think if we could put our minds together and think of some opportunities to actually do some of that joint work together, I think that's a great way to get the conversation started. But we're very open to any ideas. So I'd say everybody in this room has our attention, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and I think also to build on that more tactically, there's also this idea of like we know our data shows that anytime a customer uses a partner, they perform better. They get what the results better. They get it at a better rate, and it just performs better. We've seen, I think, like 148% year-over-year growth on the number of customers using partners. We've seen just a ton of growth and value that happens. And so I think as well, trying to help show that story and how we go out to market together on that story, which is why we try to provide these examples and how do we, and why we actually put these two events together, right? Originally, when we first talked, yesterday was going to be completely separate from today. And we're like, there's an opportunity to matchmake here to help people understand how to work together and what we can do there.
Absolutely.
Yep. What specifically is your most important measure of success?
Oh, boy. I think that there's how to say this? That next kid coming out of school who wants to start their career in advertising and tech, I want them to say, actually, I don't want to go to classic like CPG. I don't want to go to P&G or anything. I want to jump into B2B. Can we create some pull for this thing of ours, and where there's actually a broad acknowledgement that this is where the most exciting marketing is happening. This is where all the opportunity is, where all the money is. I think if we can win that next generation of marketers coming up, I think we've won that battle for mind share.
I know maybe you could talk about like what we're doing even internally around the education aspect. Like, so we talk about like P&G and how they're known for like the CPG marketing.
Sure.
And you talk a little about our brand account.
Yeah. I mean, that's I was really lucky to be exposed to a lot of P&G sort of marketing trainings because Google was like in love with P&G as I was coming up through the ranks. So I had a lot of chances to get exposed to just the programs that they put their new marketing recruits through, and a lot of that like lodged in my brain. And so lately, one of the conversations we've been having is how do we recreate that, but create it anew for B2B? So how do we? And really, it all comes down to customer empathy and spending more time with customers. One of the things I love that P&G does is they will actually send their associate brand managers to just live with a family, and they learn from them and observe them sort of in their natural habitat, and then maybe they have some good product ideas for Tide. This is like an oversimplification, but the idea of just bringing a lot more customer empathy, and I think this is something that we can benefit from in B2B uniquely. So we're trying to build like a B2BU where we train all of our marketers to be extremely customer empathetic and sensitive to these new ideas that crop up around sort of like a jobs to be done model.
Yeah. And I want to skip to this third question because I think it relates to this of clearly you are passionate about marketing. I mean, since February, since I've started working for you and just seeing your ideas and how you think, like there's a clear passion for creativity, marketing, and how to go out there and help build a brand. But I think this is a very valid question. The third one of why is brand so important, particularly in B2B? I think like we always have focused on lead gen. We've always focused on that bottom of the funnel, which makes sense, right? It drives dollars. But I think you talked a little about the 95/5 rule. We can go into that. Like a couple different things of why it's so important. How are we working to explain to customers?
No, I think it's really important to. I mean, it's future proofing your business, right? It's you got to create that pull that manifests over time. Because you could go harvest all the demand that's out there. That's great. What do you do next? Once they're all customers, I think we're all addicted to growth. I think it's the surest way to ensure future growth. I think of it as almost like the get rich slowly approach to finances, where it's like you drop a couple nickels in the brand bank, and you do that every day and every day and every day. You do it through every touch point that you have with your customers, and then they have a unbreakable bond with your brand, and that's the way you just guarantee the future prospects of your organizations. So no, I think it's one of the most important things in marketing.
Yeah, totally. So All right, we have a couple more minutes, so we'll go through. Number 2, we'll go through the LinkedIn Collective. So this was one of your big projects when you first came in and you launched it. So maybe you can give them a little background and what your thoughts are and the role for partners as well and external voices.
No, absolutely. There's a huge role, so we should talk about this too. So LinkedIn Collective is our, going back to the very first point I made, I think that this operation is better when we bring in all of the voices from across this room and beyond to really create the state-of-the-art in B2B together. And so Collective started off as, we acknowledged that we wanted like a content platform. And the way you would do a content platform typically is you'd stand up a CMS and you'd do you'd set up a site and everything. But we actually thought, well, why don't we do this through all of you, essentially? Like we're not the voice that needs to be loudest here. It's actually, let's just build a collective where anyone's able to participate and share. So there absolutely is. We're always soliciting bylines. So if any of you have, Steve's smiling because he's like, great, I'm going to have a ton of inbound now. But no, we're always interested in whatever the big new idea is. We want Collective to be a home for that. So please, let's talk about it too.
Cool. So we only have a minute, so we'll do one last question. I'll finish up with one. So marketing resources can be hard to come by, especially in this economy or any pressure. How, everyone's got different sizes, different things they're going through right now. How do you break through without an enormous budget?
Yeah, this is a great question. It's a sensitivity for mine because I think a lot of the examples, hell, I did it yesterday. A lot of the examples we point to, big budgets, big creative agencies, Super Bowl spots, et cetera. And that's just to show like what's possible. It gets a little bit back to what I was talking about with brand. Your brand is actually every single touch point that you have with folks. So you have a lot more control over people's experience of your companies than you'd ever believe. So it's in your error messages, it's in your comms, it's in your email campaigns. And if you could bring some personality and delight and sometimes idiosyncrasy to that, I think that can break through just as well as Matthew McConaughey in a hot air balloon. Because there's so much opportunity there just to build that relationship over time with your customers. So I think there's a lot of tools, and it just takes some creativity. And yeah, we want to help with that too. So any ideas, we just want to bounce them off each other.
Cool. And then to end, I would love to just think about, we're going into a new year, which is insane to me that next week is Thanksgiving and we're going to 2023, both on a personal level and professional level. What are you looking forward to in the weeks and months coming ahead?
Personally, I'm looking forward to getting Taylor Swift tickets. And professionally,
you're really pushing that. All right. Well,
professionally, I'm looking forward to getting Taylor Swift tickets. I heard Felipe has some extras. No, personally, I started this job almost concurrently with having a new son, and so I'm looking forward to. That was apparently biting off more than I could chew at one time. What were you thinking, Jimbo? So I'm looking forward in the new year to just spending some more time with him and with the family. And professionally, I think we're just at the beginning of this journey. There's so much more we could be doing with all of you, and generally out in the market. And I want to do another one of these. I want to take it on the road. I think we should do it in APAC. I think we should do it in EMEA. But just let's band together and make this B2B thing of ours really unmissable.
Great. Well, Jim, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure as always. And thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah. All right.